Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we start with a look at the beautiful Tallgrass National Prairie. Then learn how a young man born in 1884 in Osborne County came to be a Rear Admiral in the U.S. Navy. Next, enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with a story about William Averill Comstock, Army Scout, who is being honored with a statue at the Fort Wallace Museum. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And this is Around Kansas. You know, I always wanted to do that because I don't know if you remember the Huntley-Brinkley report.
I do.
Yeah.
Because Chet Huntley looked so much like my grandpa.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, I was thinking about Chet Huntley the other day. He was from Montana. Did you know that?
No.
And I did a story about him one time being, I was looking for Westerners, famous Westerners, and Chet Huntley is one that I picked out, but he looked so much like my grandpa Bowman, who was like the most trusted individual in my life. And Huntley Brinkley, that every bit as trusted as Walter Cronkite. If they said it, you could take it to the bank.
Yeah, because it would be, turn and we're ready to do the news now.
Good night, Chet. Good night, David.
Throwback to those journalists then that
God.
They commanded your attention, and here's what's going on.
They
now.
commanded your respect.
Yes, they did.
More importantly, they earned your respect.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the golden age, man, that's gone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
and
my.
I watch the news programs, and I've been a news director. I've been a reporter. Hard news, and the greatest compliment I ever had was when the district attorney back home wrote a letter to the paper and said my coverage of court was fair and accurate. I'm like, that's fair and accurate.
That's what you need, yeah. So anyway,
it's like, well, those are the old days, and I don't know. I look at when I look at Charlie Rose on the morning show, and I'm thinking he must just want to get up and shoot himself. He's sitting there talking about the stuff that passes for news. And I watch, is it ABC with George Stephanopoulos? I remember when George Stephanopoulos, every girl in the country had a crush on him, and he was really something. And now he's obviously very successful. But you're talking about, I can't even, like The Bachelor. Who watches this stuff? Who cares? And they're reporting on that on the morning news show.
Yeah.
Today Show with Hugh Downs. Mm-hmm. Remember those days? Mm-hmm. And Barbara Walters, and they did feature stuff, but it wasn't like stupid. Oh, God, Frank, you really got me started on that.
And here we are in your morning.
And here we are.
And our stories, though, are about Kansas, people, places, and things that make the state a great place to live and play. And all that.
Frank and I proving you can have fun and you don't have to be stupid. Is that right, Frank?
Well,
we try. We try.
I know you're speaking to yourself. If people have watched this long, anyway.
Never mind. Rosanna, Dana, never mind.
So anyway.
Stay with us.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego is driven by the spirit of American ingenuity. Come in for a new Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. If we don't have exactly what you want, we'll find it for you. And we also have a great selection of used cars. We make sure you have an easy, fun, and transparent sales experience that saves you time and money. But if you want high-pressure salesmen and hours spent in the finance office, you'll just have to go elsewhere. Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're making car buying great again.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. We're back. Hey, before we were just kind of talking while there were commercials on. And here a few years ago, when we started around Kansas before she came on board, we did the Tallgrass National Wildlife Preserve. And anyway, someone has done a really great documentary, and so now you can talk about that.
Well, it's Dave Kendall. And, you know, our old friend Dave Kendall, we've been friends for a long, long time. And Dave Kendall, of course, was with KTWU for years, produced Sunflower Journeys, did amazing stuff. And Dave. So Dave has done a phenomenal job with this new documentary on the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. It will air on Smoky Hills Public Television April 27th at 9 p.m. And we've got a trailer for you.
And if you've never visited, you really should. It's a fantastic place.
And this trailer will make you proud that it's in our state. It really will.
These 5 million acres of native grass in the Flint Hills and the southern tip of the Flint Hills, which are called the Osage Hills by the Oklahomans, that's the last large, significant expanse of tallgrass prairie in the whole world.
When we're right here at the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve, we're kind of in the midst of all that there is of the tallgrass prairie functionally. I mean, yeah, there are big chunks of it. There's 1,000 acres here and there in Iowa and Missouri, but when you talk about its full ecological expression, the grandeur and glory of the tallgrass prairie that the Native Americans revered, that made ranchers able to survive here, this is it.
Anyone that visits me from out of state, this is on the list of places to come. I mean, where else can you go see and get public access to this sort of expanse, where you can go spend some time with bison? You can't get that anywhere else.
So I'm like, wow, here in the middle of the continent, in the middle of Kansas, you can have a connection with our planet.
It's the sky dome that goes back and over your head. It's that whole feeling of this is all around me, you know.
And the people that were here, the Native Americans, that is a great history. And I think for a place that provides people a chance to go and walk out there and think about the history of those people. And the most amazing stories are right there.
It's the history of what we were and are and will be. And it's important to preserve. And I think a state that can do that is only adding to the richness of the next generation of inheritance.
It's been called an important document of how people with strongly opposing viewpoints can listen to each other and finally achieve together a lasting good. So much beautiful content and great explanation of a complex and remarkable story. It's the story of the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve, a true love story from the Flint Hills of Kansas.
I was in an accident where I fell off a roof. I don't know why I started to research stem cells, but I did. And I visited with the doctors. They were excellent. I had my neck done, my shoulders done, section of my back, my hips, my sacrum, my sciatica, and my tailbone. Now I am having better range of motion in my arms and my neck and my back. It was a long road to get there, but I'm so glad that I found them.
Fort Wallace stood on the frontier in the midst of the Plains Indians Wars on a major stage route and rail line. Beside the 1865 stagecoach station, a modern museum with thousands of artifacts tell that story, like the fossil of a 40-foot plesiosaur is suspended from the ceiling. Located on Highway 40 midway between Hayes and Colorado Springs, the Fort Wallace Museum is as welcome a sight today as the fort itself in the 1860s. Discover the fightingest fort in the West. This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. Back again. This is Around Kansas, by the way, if you just joined us. I'm Frank, she's Deb.
Thanks, Frank.
And Michael's over there.
Trying to keep us in line.
Yeah.
We promised him we wouldn't be stupid, Frank. Remember?
Oh, that's
at the beginning of the show?
That's right. Oh, yeah, because we started with that.
You started with that.
So anyway, hey, you know, there are a lot of, I'm sure every state can claim, you know, all of their heroes and all of that. But it seems like Kansas is overloaded with people that have done remarkable things.
I think we are.
I mean,
I do.
Think about it. We had Dwight Eisenhower, who was not only president, but of course was general and
Supreme Allied Commander.
Supreme Allied Commander. And
that's like ruler of the universe, you know,
yeah.
Frank. Supreme Allied Commander. That's like, yeah, the Jedi or something.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
Ike was. He's one of the few presidents in our history where it was probably a step down to be president. You know, after you're Supreme Allied Commander, you're president. Yeah, whatever. You know, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Big
well,
deal.
we've got astronauts and
I know.
And we also have an admiral.
Who'd have thunk it?
An admiral. And not only that, but he had a great deal to do with the development of the submarine force in the Navy. So anyway, he's from a very small town in Kansas, and we're going to thank the people of Osborne because they did kind of. Remember, we said if you have something you'd like us to talk about, and they did. And thank you for sharing this because we did look up the story, and it's a great story.
It's a great story, and you know I was shocked after moving to Kansas and really getting into the history. So we had, in World War II, I think most of the 5th Fleet was from the Midwest. So it was like Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma boys that made up. And I've thought about this a lot lately when we talk about that sea of grass. You know, they used to say, well, if they ever saw the ocean, they were going to have to join the Navy to see it. But part of it, the more I research, people have said it wasn't that unfamiliar to them, that vastness, you know, the vastness of the prairies and the vastness of the ocean, that it wasn't as foreign to them as it was some of the East Coast boys who were, you know, you might see the ocean once a week if you went to the beach or something, or once a month, but you didn't live in that landscape with that vast expanse. And so I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
But you're right. Well, I want to get to the ocean. Well, I guess I better join the Navy.
Join the Navy. They'll get me there for nothing.
Well, this gentleman did. It's a long way from the hills of Osborne County to the rank of Rear Admiral in the United States Navy. Felix Xerxes Gygax was born March 30th, 1884 in Hancock Township, Osborne County. He was raised on a farm and attended the local rural one-room schools, and after graduation, Felix taught school for a couple of years until 1903, when he won an appointment to the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, Maryland. He graduated 3 years later and was assigned to the USS Kearsarge in time to participate in the 14-month around-the-world voyage of the Great White Fleet ordered by President Theodore Roosevelt. The voyage lasted from December 1907 to September 1909 and was designed to display America's might to the world. Upon his return, Felix was transferred to the USS Minnesota. Felix was appointed first officer in charge of the submarine school in New London, Connecticut. In 1920, he assisted in the establishment of the submarine base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. He then served in the Naval Department in Washington, D.C., and held the rank of Admiral. A week after marrying Estelle Ice, Felix reported for duty as a naval inspector in Switzerland. At Winterthur, submarine engines were being built in a diesel factory for the U.S. Navy. When he learned that the Swiss wanted to charge him income tax, he succeeded in being appointed naval attaché at Bern, which exempted him from the tax. In 1933, Felix was made professor of naval science and tactics at the University of California at Berkeley. Later, he commanded the USS Augusta and the flagship of the Asiatic Fleet. After a brief command of Cruiser Division 3, he was transferred to command of the Norfolk Naval Yard in 1940, also receiving a presidential designation as Rear Admiral. In 1942, he was appointed Commandant of the 1st Naval District in Boston, where he was in charge of the Boston Naval Yard, and later the Norfolk Navy Yard. Upon his retirement in 1946, he was the holder of the Legion of Merit and was an honorary commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. Felix and his wife Estelle raised 2 sons, Felix Jr. and Rex, and he passed away February 24, 1977, in San Diego, California, and was buried with full military honors in Arlington National Cemetery at Washington, D.C. He was inducted into Osborne County's Hall of Fame in 1997, and we thank them for this bio. Tarwater Farm and Home has been family-owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
We have lots of barn cats here on the home ranch, and they seem to get into predicaments. And as we get this around this time of Easter, it reminds me of one particular cat. This poem is entitled The Search, or The Prodigal Cat. We had a litter of kittens a year ago spring. Then we had to decide what to name the darn things. The kids named one cat Easter Egg. It loved to rub upon your leg. They hauled that kitten all over the ground. Maybe that's why it liked people around. I'd reach for a tool wherever it's put, and that cat would always be underfoot. One day Ma noticed the cat wasn't here. We didn't know why it would disappear. Then Grandma and Granddad called to say that cat had become a stowaway. They'd visited us, and when they got home, Easter Egg was in the trunk where he'd gone to roam. They put him in the garage and fed him that day, but their dog chased him off, and he ran plumb away. They called the neighbors and looked around, but that cat was simply not to be found. A dead critter by the road was spotted first. For Easter Egg's fate, we feared the worst. But it was not Easter Egg, no sign of that cat. We wondered where in the world he was at. One day I went over to Granddad's house to get a load of hay to feed to the cows. Ma went to the barn and called Kitty, Kitty, but nothing was found, which seemed like a pity. But then before I could haul that hay home to the cows, I could swear I thought I heard a meow. I followed the sound with curiosity and dread and found the cat on top of their old hay shed. So I climbed the hayloft and brought him down. Easter Egg the cat was safe and sound. Now Easter Egg's home and not forgotten. In fact, the kids have spoiled him rotten. It's like Easter Sunday when, after church, the kids all go on a colored egg search. But my Easter egg search was different now, because all I had to do was to follow the meow. Happy trails.
Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at two sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Cody's statue marks his achievements and welcomes visitors to the Cultural Center. The Fick Fossil Museum houses world-class fossils and artifacts. You'll find Oakley at the hub of U.S. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70. Stop for the legend. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. Okay, we're back.
Oh, what did you pour on your Wheaties this morning?
Well, it's the middle of April. I don't know.
Just got April fever or what? Spring fever?
Beware the Ides of April? No, that's March. So.
Well, the Ides of April are worse. That's tax day. So, yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So if you survive till now, of course, my sister, the accountant, is busy writing out all the extensions for people, up until midnight on tax day. And so this is her, I won't say downtime, but it's like, the first few months of the year are so hard and then slacks just a little bit. I'm hoping to get her out to Kansas, come visit. We'll have her as a guest star on
that'd be good.
around Kansas sometime.
Sure.
Well, we got a great story coming up, and one of the things I'm hoping to get my sister and a lot of other people out for are July events at Fort Wallace. And one of the highlights, our friend Jerry Thomas will be unveiling a bronze sculpture of Medicine Bill Comstock, who was a storied scout. And I want to talk a little bit about scouts. I was doing a program with Jane Pierce a year or two ago in Oakley, and we were talking about scouts who scouted for the Army, and this is still, the Army still has scouts. And the kids just think Army, and they think of guns, and they think, well, they're out there in the plains, and they're shooting Indians. And I'm like, their ability to communicate is one of the things that set them apart. So the scouts knew a lot of the Plains tribes' languages. They knew their customs. So it was that ability to avoid trouble that made them very valuable. Their sense of direction, their understanding of where to find water, where to find forage, all that stuff. But their ability to communicate. And that's still a huge deal in training and recruiting scouts with the Army, the ability to communicate with different cultures, different languages. So rather than just thinking you've got this wild guy out there without a clue, no, they tended to be very bright, very interesting, very individualistic, some real colorful characters. Some figures loom large over the landscape, transcending time and death, entering the realm of legend. Such a figure is Medicine Bill William Averill Comstock. In his short life, Comstock, who was chief scout at Fort Wallace, set himself apart. Said George Custer, "No Indian knew the country more thoroughly than did Comstock. He was perfectly familiar with every divide, watercourse, and strip of timber for hundreds of miles in either direction. He knew the dress and peculiarities of every Indian tribe, and spoke the languages of many of them." Custer also described Comstock as perfect in horsemanship, fearless in manner, a splendid hunter, and a gentleman by instinct, as modest and unassuming as he was brave. He was defeated in a buffalo hunting contest by his friend and rival, William F. Buffalo Bill Cody. He was believed to be part Indian, but was not. He was actually a Michigander by birth, from a prominent and educated family, but he let the rumors of his frontier birth and his upbringing flourish, likely understanding the PR value of such stories. The legendary scout will receive a permanent home at the Fort Wallace Museum this summer when artist Jerry Thomas unveils a life-size bronze statue, ensuring that the figure will always cast a shadow on this landscape. Jerry's paintings are also on permanent display at the museum, along with artifacts from the original fort site in the Florist Weiser Room. In the past weeks, the museum staff and volunteers have been helping Jerry construct the base for the statue, a lot of work itself. The statue is being set at the front entrance to the main museum and will be unveiled on July 8 in conjunction with the Great Fort Wallace and Western Kansas 1867 Exposition, July 6th through the 9th. The expo will feature tours of the scenic byways, a symposium on events of 1867, an encampment featuring dozens of reenactors, a concert by Michael Martin Murphey, and a final ceremony at the Fort Wallace Cemetery.
Well, that's it for this week. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.